Let's try to be attentive and alert for a lively discussion on misuse and abuse of science and spirituality, today's topic. But first things first, let me introduce you to the eminent speakers in the panel who would be discussing on the topic and would be sharing their insights today. Anyone who knew about Rajiv Gandhi's assassination would know about Special Investigation Team SIT. And anyone who knew about Special Investigative Team would know about Mr. Karthikeyan. He has a Bachelor of Science degree from Annamalai University and a Bachelor of Law degree from Law College, University of Madras. Starting with 1964 batch of Indian Police Services, he went on to head Central Bureau of Investigation, that is CBI. He was also Special Director General CRPF. That was about what he did. He is currently associated with a number of prestigious organizations, some of them being founder member of International Forum for India's Heritage, advisor on law, human rights, and corporate affairs. He is patron Brahmakumari's Academy for a Better World, co-chairperson and organizer of World Congress for Peace, Nonviolence, and Harmony. He has extensively traveled all over the world and has many honors conferred on him. Now let me introduce you another eminent speaker, Dr. Mahadev Shankar Iyer. His list of important degrees, it reads thus: MA, B.Ed, LLM, MSc, and PhD in psychology, and few other certifications. Dr. M.S. Iyer is an educational consultant and a corporate trainer who has more than 35 years of experience that includes teaching in leading public schools, colleges, management institutes. Now on to B.K. Mrutyunjaya. B.K. Mrutyunjaya in a nutshell can be described as a karma yogi associated with Brahmakumaris since the young age of 19. He was instrumental in establishing 25 BK centers in South India before the age of 30. He organized several national and international conferences at Mount Abu. He made documentary telefilms which were telecast in Doordarshan and other TV channels. He has delivered a number of talks in India and abroad. B.K. Mrutyunjaya was felicitated by International Association of Educators for World Peace, and currently he is Vice Chairperson Education Wing, Raj Yoga Education and Research Foundation, and Executive Secretary, Brahmakumari's World Headquarters. Well, I leave the ground open for all the three eminent speakers of the panel, starting with Mr. Karthikeyan. So I request him to present his views on today's topic.
Esteemed brother B.K. Mrutyunjaya, esteemed Dr. M.S. Iyer, they are very dedicated and selfless brothers and sisters of the BK movement. Ladies and gentlemen, it has always been a pleasure to be associated with any function organized by the Brahmakumari movement. This morning, we experienced the joy and wonder of journeys both inside and outside. Now we have come down to the reality of misuse and abuse of science and spirituality. Abuse of spirituality is very well known. In the name of spirituality, the ritualistic, fundamentalist, and fanatical people, they are in all the religions. The war is not between this religion and that religion. The conflict is between the fundamentalists of A, B, C, D, all the religions, against the vast majority of right-thinking people belonging to all the religions. But what is happening today is the few fanatical fundamentalist people are able to hijack their religions for their selfish purposes. That's why if you see, I think over 100 million people have been killed in wars and conflicts in the last century. More people have been killed in the last century than all those people who were killed from the inception of humanity, and all fought in the name of defending God, religion, and peace. Which religion says you hate someone, kill someone? If you go to the basics of all the religions, the founders of religions, they've all preached compassion, kindness, mercy, serving others selflessly, respecting others, respecting the environment, living in harmony between body, mind, and soul within oneself, in harmony with others in the community, and in harmony with nature. Go into any religion, Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, any religion. So the founders of all the religions were all agreed on one thing. That is the right conduct, right way of living, right thoughts, so that the human being can realize his or her full potential. If every religion had followed what was laid down by the founders, there is no scope for any conflict between the religions. Today, the biggest threat facing the world, apart from that which is due to the technological advancements which have been misused, the biggest threat is from the fundamentalists of all the religions. If there is a third world war, it's going to be based on the maneuvering and the cunning moves of the fundamentalists of religions. And if this third world war, certainly bigger powers, nuclear powers are going to be involved. And if they are going to be involved, though they say we are keeping all the nuclear weapons only for deterrence, they say for self-defense they have kept it. Bound to use it. If one person triggers off one weapon, there is no question of stopping the chain consequences. I will give you the figures later on how many weapons, according to the published documents, how many are available. Today we have enough nuclear weapons in the hands of the established powers that can destroy entire humanity, all life forms many times over. I mentioned to you yesterday also. This is a real threat. If it is not intended to be used at some time or the other, why they spend billions and billions of dollars in making them? The wealthy nations could afford it. Now because the wealthy nations are doing it, people who cannot afford also have been doing it. Poor countries, Pakistan, India, they are not rich countries. In each of these countries, like many other countries, there are millions and millions of people dying out of poverty and disease every day. Still, those precious resources we are compelled to, whatever may be the reason, diverting them into making of these nuclear weapons. That's called weapons of mass destruction. So the enemies of mankind today are the fundamentalists of all the religions. The religions have the strength of their own, they can defend themselves. They don't need their saviors. They are doing it. I can understand if they are doing it out of ignorance. Okay, ignorance, all right, people can be ignorant. But they are not ignorant people. They are very intelligent, clever people. They are using it, using the sentiments of the people, innocent people, to hijack religion for their own personal power and political purposes. So that is the abuse and misuse of religion, to put it. You can keep on talking on that. This is the real threat before all of us. There is no peace. Nowhere in the world, you are seeing every day you are discussing about bomb attacks here and there. Now, unless people 100, 200, 300 people are killed, they don't appear even on the front pages. Because you are getting used to this idea of people being killed in terrorist bomb attacks. Till recently, the Western countries used to make fun of us about the precautions we are taking in our airports, physical checking and all that. Today, I'm sure all of you keep going to America and coming back. How many hours earlier you have to report? How you cannot lock your suitcases. And they open the suitcases, even after the metal detector is used. They open, see everything physically apart from their machines, and then leave a chit there, sorry, we had to open your suitcase, sorry for the convenience. And nobody complains today because everybody is living in such fear. I'm telling the fundamental reason for this fear is fundamentalism of the various religions. So this is where the spirituality cannot be misused. But in the name of spirituality, the religious fundamentalism is posing the biggest threat. That is where the role of organizations like the Brahma Kumaris become very, very important. They go beyond all the barriers of caste, religion, race. They view human beings as spark of divinity, belonging to the same cosmic power, energy. They are able to unify people, whereas efforts are being made all over to divide the people so much. Now, at the time of independence, we had to import food grains. We could not feed even the 30 crore people we had population. Then of course science and technology came in, we had brought in hybrid seeds, chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, all that came. But overuse of these things has resulted, not only we could produce enough food grains, more than what we need, more than what we can even store, but they also destroyed the fertility of the soils. The earthworm, which used to be called the best friend of the farmer, have all been killed. Today, while we eat our food grains, fruits and vegetables, we are also taking traces of chemicals and fertilizers. And many experts say, this enlightened audience, you have many eminent doctors, specialists, they say, most of the diseases we have today are the result of our eating, along with the food and vegetables and fruits, also consuming these chemicals and fertilizers. They have caused enough damage. They have killed all those, even the beneficial insects which were helpful to us. And many of them diseases which are created by these new chemicals and fertilizers, we are yet to find a remedy. Now what have we done? When we started industries, science and technology, engineering all brought a lot of conveniences, comforts that we do not mention because everybody is aware of that. But because to feed industries, they started cutting all the forests also. From the time of independence to now, we have lost 50% of our forest cover. Indiscriminate cutting of trees. And you know, we can get timely monsoon, adequate rainfall, only if there are adequate number of trees and forests. And because we cut down the forests, because we were unfriendly to nature, nature is punishing us now by withholding the rainfall. Many parts of the country are suffering because of the drought. At the same time, many parts of the country are suffering because of floods. Hundreds of thousands of acres of land are just, crops are being just wiped off here, they dry up, they can't even cultivate. One of the consequences is the mass migration of people from the villages to the towns. Even the capital city, Delhi, has 35% of the population living in the slum areas. I asked a question in the enlightened audience in Habitat Center in Delhi. Suppose this mass migration continues. If the slum population of Delhi goes beyond 60%, what will happen? There will be social tension, stress, violence, crime. No government can control it. And no government can also provide all the basic necessities for this increasing number of people in cities. So the quality of life in urban cities is going down. At the same time, you will not have enough people to work on the farms in villages. All this again because of this. So in the name of industrialization, modernization, we have neglected development of rural areas and agriculture. Then water, with indiscriminate permitting of all sorts of industries to come up everywhere, the quality of the water pollution. When I was a child, I am from a small village. The water used to be from 10 feet from the ground level, we had water. Today we are gone 1,000 feet bore wells. Even then we are not sure of the water. Same farm, my ancestral farm. Many towns, when we go and get the water up, even the color is different, the taste is different. They are all polluted. This is a very biggest threat by this science by itself is value neutral. I am not blaming science. We need science. Science is value neutral. Science will produce atom, how to spread the atom, how to produce power. But the way we are abusing and misusing the science, we can use the atom, nuclear power for producing power, for medicine. But we are diverting them more and more for weapons. We are chemical industries, dying, leather processing industries. Many towns I travel and they show, and people are falling ill, and you can't provide water. Without water, what is it we are going to leave to our children and grandchildren? All those multi-story buildings and mansions, industries and wealth, if they don't have drinking water, are they going to remember? They will curse us telling, what type of selfish father and grandfather I had. They enjoyed everything was given by their parents and their ancestors. What is it they have done? They have not given us even drinking water. So this is the extent to which we are allowing these scientific findings to be abused and misused. It's true communications have improved. You can see about 100 channels from anywhere, any home. But what is it that our children are watching? What type of programs are being telecast on that? Even internet is a great convenience, but absolutely uncensored. What should not go and spoil the young minds are being shown. Many people switch off the cable connections at the time of the examination because they say the children watching, they don't study it. All unwanted violence and sex, all sorts of behavior which is cannot even be imagined or shown on the movies. So young minds get easily corrupted. With the result, we find violence in the society, increasing violence against forget on the people on the street, their own parents. A mother came and complained to me that her son who was so devoted to her, who was so very good in his studies, he always stood first. He said he had been stealing things from my house. Ultimately, he came to the extent of throttling me, almost killing her. Then she came and told me, because he was hooked on to some drug gang. This is one of the consequences of our abuse of modern science and scientific findings. And our own medicines also, so much of spurious drugs. You have seen the minister making a statement in the parliament about 25–30% of the drugs in the market are all spurious, which means, mass killing going on for the sake of money. Just greed. One is abuse and misuse of science and scientific findings and technology and engineering. At the same time, neglect of the real, true spirituality, which means, you don't care, no value for lives. All you need is money, power. With money and power, you think you can acquire everything. That is happening in the society. If you have a lot of money, you have a lot of power, people come and line up and then they are prepared to give you all titles and honors. And education, it's true. We have been able to provide education to a lot of people. India has the third largest reservoir of technical manpower in the world. In America, you don't know what will happen to the computer industry if all the Indians are withdrawn. I think it will come to a standstill. But at the same time, what type of education we are giving it to the children? Education being equated to license to earn money for your livelihood. That's not the real purpose of education. Education is, Swami Vivekananda said, it should have been man-making education. They should live with values and attitudes, a holistic education, which were neglected. And still, the largest number of illiterate people live in this world, in our country. Largest number of illiterate people in the world live in our country. And you know, the girl education is concerned, still far from satisfactory. And chemicals, all the findings in chemical industry and physics have gone making more and more towards weapons and weapons of mass destruction. And have we ensured justice, social justice? We have not. Though we say we are a successful, the largest democracy in the world, we have failed to do justice to a large number of people. The largest number being the 26% of the people living below poverty line. We have not ensured them even one good square meal for them. There are statistics to show thousands of newborn children are dying out of curable diseases. Even today, thousands of children are being born with low birth weight. Low birth weight means, you know what will happen. The children have lost the capacity to learn things. Their capacity of the brain is supposed to have been frozen at 50% of that of the normal child. And these are children, wealth of the nation tomorrow. They are going to be the citizens and leaders of the nation tomorrow. If thousands are going to be born like this every day, and they are going to be mentally incapacitated, will they become assets or will they become a liability to the nation? And such large number of people, if there is no honorable way of living, they will be forced to lead a life of crime and ideal recruit ground for terrorists. So, there is so much of abuse and misuse of religion and spirituality. Instances we can keep on multiplying. Now, if you just go into one aspect of weaponization, I'll just give you some figures, it will shock you. Nuclear weapons in the arsenals of the nuclear weapon states alone have a destructive force equal to 8 to 40 times the power of the weapons that destroyed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, each one of the weapons I am talking about. An average nuclear weapon would immediately kill everything within a radius of several square miles. Radiation exposure would continue to injure and kill people over a longer period of time and over a greater area. The Americans and the Russians alone have over 2,500 nuclear weapons on hair trigger alert. Any moment they can press the button. Keeping nuclear weapons on high alert and using launch and warning strategies increase the risks of accidental nuclear war. Many people thought Hiroshima's environment might never recover after the city suffered a nuclear attack. But more than 200,000 people died on the day the bomb was dropped. The bombs first generated an enormous fireball in the form of electromagnetic radiation, ranging over the entire spectrum from X-rays to thermal radiation. Closer to ground zero, about which we heard on the first day also, that is where actually the bomb falls. The temperature was 15 times that which can cause third-degree burns. Radiation mostly affects those cells in the human body that replicate most rapidly. I am telling this because it's a reality. It can happen any time. It can happen any time. Like it happened on September 11 to America, it can happen. That's the reality. Nuclear weapons also cause long-term damage to the environment. A full-scale global war, nuclear war, can lead to long-term climatic changes caused by the soot thrown up by burning cities, a phenomenon referred to as nuclear winter. A nuclear winter which could kill billions of people would occur all over the world. Economically, weaponization will prove extraordinarily burdensome. Even a small arsenal, one-fifth of the size of China's, could over some years cost India 50,000 crores, which exceeds the country's entire annual expenditure on education. Should India go in for a bigger arsenal, its cost alone would exceed a frightening 5% of the GDP. So the social and political costs of nuclearization perhaps dwarf all other costs. Embracing the abhorrent doctrine of nuclear deterrence means seeking security through insecurity, terror, and threat to cause havoc on a mass scale. So the limitations of science are being realized. The staggering problems of the present day world cannot be solved by science unless it is guided and directed by another force identified as spirituality. Spirituality that needs to be cultivated begins where science based on the intellect comes to its end. It will support and supplement the individual contradict science. There are three sciences of ancient India we refer to. Even during the period of the early Upanishads, which goes back to over 3,000 years, our forefathers started making a clear distinction between three sciences or sectors of knowledge, namely science as we know it today. They called it Aparavidya. Spirituality as we understand it today, Paravidya. And yoga or science and spirituality of man in depth, what we call Adhyatma Vidya or yoga, about which Brahmakumaris are concerned. As I mentioned yesterday, science alone is not enough. Spirituality alone is not enough because we have reached a stage we are not prepared to go back now. But science with spirituality is what is necessary. As Vinobaji said, science and spirituality only can bring prosperity for all. Science minus spirituality will cause total destruction. I would like to quote Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. The future of the world is tied up with growth of science, and life becomes more and more dependent on science. At the same time, life with science only as its guide and without a spiritual basis is very likely to lead to disaster for humanity, because how do you feed the growing billions of people? The last century alone, our population has gone 3 times. I am told by another 2020, we may cross 150 crores. So we have to produce so much of food for all of them. So many hospitals, so many educational institutions, medicine, clothes to wear, place to live, job to do, water to drink. To me, that seems to be the biggest challenge actually. How are we going to do it? So we need science, we need technology, we need engineering. To me, science is equal to spirituality. He said, one is more concerned with the outer aspect of the world, that is science, the other with the inner aspect, spirituality. And both combined only will give us a whole world capable of being lived in great comfort and joy. He said, science has force, speed, and action, but no direction. The role of science in society should be to provide politicians and individuals the information needed to make sound decisions and wise personal choices. This science should be objective, based on fact, supported by evidence, and reviewed by scientific peers. We find many instances where poor, hasty, or implied science has led to widespread public confusion, a lagging or absent response to pressing environmental issues, and a broadening mistrust of the scientific process. Science sees matter as generator of mind. Spirituality sees mind as generator of matter. Logically, the winner is mind before matter. But our aim has been to achieve symbiosis of science and spirituality. We want to advance, but at the same time, we want it to be controlled. We want to progress, but at the same time, we want ethics and social justice to go along with that. Once again, to quote Dr. Radhakrishnan, if science is employed as is today for private profits and public destruction, that's what is happening today. There is bound to be chaos in the economic field and anarchy in the political field. The knowledge of science can usher in a new era of material prosperity. The gift of science can help to make life fuller, wider, healthier, and richer in comforts and interests in such happiness as material things can provide. Today, power in the hands of a few makes scientists depend on them, such minority of people holding political power and money power. Scientists are becoming instruments in the hands of the politically and economically powerful minority in every country. The best authorities are unanimous in saying, I mentioned, I don't want to repeat it earlier, the present trouble of the world, Einstein said, is due to science having advanced faster than morality. When morality catches up with science, these troubles will end. The age calls for reconciliation of science and wisdom in vital harmony. We had a conference recently in Bangalore and the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies as part of the Indian Institute of Science. There I had the privilege of meeting two of the greatest scientists of this century. One is Charles Townes. He was given a Nobel Prize in 1964 for inventing masers, which came before laser. And the other person was Sir Penrose. A reference was made to him yesterday of Oxford University. They said, I asked them, how much science has explored? They said, after all, this universe is, we don't know how old it is. But the science we understand, the modern science is only 300 years old and still evolving. And one virtue of science is the later day scientists have no hesitation in proving that the findings of the earlier scientists were wrong. That has happened. I said, can you tell me how much of the universe, the phenomena, have been explored and uncovered by the scientists? This is very difficult. He said, maybe about 20%. That means the vast majority of the universe still remains to be explored. To expect science to validate what spirituality says, to prove everything that what a spiritualist says, is too much now, because science is in its infancy. Science is still evolving, developing. I was asking them about the phenomenon of spiritual healing, psychic healing, how some of the great masters are able to heal by touch or blessing. Some go to some holy places, people get recover. You can't say it's entirely superstition, you can't prove scientifically. But what cannot be proved scientifically is also not disproved. So what they said was, maybe science will evolve in due course. One day they will be able to explain why these phenomena take place. So he says 80% of the universe and the phenomena remain still unexplored. So if through spiritual practices you are able to get peace of mind, you are able to improve your health, your attitude to yourself, to others are able to improve, generally the life becomes healthier, joyous, more peaceful. Then you must go by the result instead of waiting for science to come and prove, well, you did this and this is the chemical equation and all that. If thousands of people are able to get the benefit following a spiritual practice, that's time-tested one thing. I don't say you follow all superstitions. But what I say is, if vast majority of the people are getting benefited, if thousands and thousands of people are saying, Raj Yoga gave us a better quality of life, peace, harmony, we are able to treat the whole humanity as ours, we can deal with people irrespective of whether he is a Muslim or a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or a a Brahmin or a scheduled caste or this community or that community, if that much of large-heartedness could come by following a practice, if this could motivate them to do selfless service, long hours, without expecting anything in return, and they are able to influence not only the families, all those who come in contact with them. So that should be enough proof to follow these practices without waiting for science to come and prove the method. It will happen one day. So nothing wrong with religions. It is the hijacking of the religion which has caused all the problems in the name of religion. So that's why it is far better to use the word spirituality, because this is the basis of all religions. The basis of all religions being spiritual values, spirituality and science has no conflict at all. As you mentioned, is part of the whole. Can we say there is a conflict between the body, mind and spirit? It can't be, it's one unit. We have created this conflict within ourselves and we suffer the consequences. As eminent surgeon was telling yesterday, you can't treat the body alone. Mind has such a dominant role to play. Now science is also accepting it today. I asked Charles Townes, the 80-year-old Nobel laureate, he said, yes, I believe. To start with, I never believed in consciousness. Today, I am increasingly believing in consciousness. Now, the greatest scientist said, I wasted my entire lifetime exploring the world outside. I wish I had spent some time exploring the world inside. Before his death, he said that. I did explore the world outside. I found lots of things, but that didn't give me satisfaction. I wish I had spent little time of that time in exploring the world inside. I would have been a more peaceful man. So the abuse and misuse of spirituality and science both are there. If you don't abuse them, if you don't misuse them, there's a perfect harmony. Both are required. So don't wait for everything to be validated by science. At the same time, let us not fall prey to the superstitious practices of masters in every religion. In fact, they cause damage to the religion and the society. Once again, a compliment, Brother Ramesh and Sister Usha, for the excellent arrangements made for this conference, which is proved to be a great success by the attendance on working days. And I also request you to have a larger conference, maybe sometime in future in Mount Abu, where you have got some of these eminent persons who came here, and more people from inside the country and outside the country, because it's time. The whole world may be going, but we are worried about our country. We are, I think, one side we are making enormous progress in many fields. On the other side, we are also going towards destruction, self-destruction, not from anybody outside. If we have to stop this, there is a need to bring the country, the whole country, particularly leadership, into the right focus. Do whatever you want with certain values and ethics, with fairness and justice to all. Otherwise, the whole society will suffer, irrespective of the enormous material progress we may be making. Thank you. Jai Hind.
At the outset, I record my sincere thanks, gratitude to my dear brothers and sisters of Brahma Kumaris and Mr. Ramesh Bhai. They have done a very wonderful job. In fact, I feel I'm very much blessed today, and I was blessed yesterday too. Organizing such a symposium on a spiritual platform, especially on weekdays, is not that easy. And in Bombay, one finds it very difficult to find time, because leisure is what you pluck from time. And it is science that gives that leisure. The major contribution of science is leisure, but man does not know how to use his leisure. Ironically, when God made man, God was so happy. Man was the very darling of God. God gave all his blessings. He was having a bowl of blessings. He gave him the sensitivity of a flower, mobility of animals, plus reason, faculty of imagination. and he was about to empty the rest. Even God was a tube light. All of a sudden, he realized and he stopped. He did not give the rest. The rest, there is a pun on that. The rest of the blessings, the blessing to become a superman, or rest the peace of mind. Because God feared, if I were to give rest, peace of mind, then man will forget God, then God should go in search of man. So, on the rope of restlessness, God is pulling man towards him. He has kept a spark in every man, and that spark has been very holistically manifested here also. And this theme has been beautifully brought out by a metaphysical poet, George Herbert Suckling, in a metaphysical poem, The Pulley. Meta means beyond, physics means concrete. The truth beyond concrete, abstract truth, is the field of metaphysics. The word science comes from the Latin term scientia, which means to know or knowledge. Classification of facts based on absolute judgment, independent of external influence, which are universally valid and consistent. That is the task of science. Where physics comes to an end, metaphysics begins. But the great rationalist even, Bertrand Russell, who said, if mankind should progress, slay the dragon called religion. Karl Marx said, the omnipotence of God is nothing but a fantastic reflection of the importance of people before nature and socio-economic relationship between themselves. Even these great thinkers, they slipped. Rather than understanding God, they tried to interpret God or interpret religion. They, just like a cobweb is created by a spider, the empirical scientists create an empirical cobweb and they get entangled. The irony is, even the greatest thinkers fail to realize that there is something beyond the realm of reason and intellect. The animals and man, they share the four things: hunger, fear, sleep, and sex. But man is given the free will. Next, please. The free will, which is compelling him to take a decision. Now, animal cannot get for one moment away from its origin. All the wants of the animals are already programmed. A cow will eat 365 days grass. It does not feel, why not for a change, let me try Punjabi dish or Chinese. Whereas a man will get monotonous. He would like to try something new. Because man is given a free will power, a man thinks about his past. We look before and after and pine for what is not. Our sincerest laughter with some pain is fraught. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. Shelley, P.B. Shelley. See, man has got a unique capacity to make his life miserable. Man is the only animal who can laugh and also can be laughed at. When God gave man something plus the extraordinary power, the spark of reason, man should be more happier than animals. But unfortunately, man is more miserable than animals. Has man a future? The conquest of happiness. These are the $1 million question today. Under such a situation, when we enter into spiritualism, I would like to share Sri Aurobindo's philosophy. I firmly believe that all accomplishments, talent, education, and means that God has given me are all His. Whatever is essential and needed for the maintenance of the family has alone a claim upon me. The rest must be returned to God. If I spend everything for comfort or luxury, then I am a thief. Stop. See, as I said, has man a future? Man became better than animal because he has got a faculty of reason. But we got trapped in that cobweb, and we are using that intellect or reason to justify what we do as right, what we think as right. We often believe what is convenient for us to believe. We often re-endorse the reinforcement of our already existing beliefs that have been poured into our mind by the scriptures and by our teachers and by the grannies. But here is where the science comes with a courage. Like Bertrand Russell, he would always define a term before he uses. The scientists have the moral courage. A true scientist will say, I don't know. My knowledge is limited. The first step to know is to know that you don't know, which is very difficult to know. So if only we have that courage, even the spiritualists, as Mr. Karthikeyan Saab had brilliantly brought out, we would not have such terrorists and fanatics. It is the lunatics who collect weapons and fanatics who use it. What is there to conquer in this world? Every man has been conquered by fear. Every man has been conquered by the very birth, who is born by his will. So if only we were to probe into our soul, our inner dimensions, how to make our life happy, perhaps the spiritualism and the institution like Brahma Kumaris can put us on the right road for a introspection, and let us see whether we can conquest our happiness. Next, please. Uncontrolled and excessive indulgence in sensual enjoyments causes a dissipation of one's personality and disintegration of intellect. And this leads to sorrow and misery. He who disengages himself from the slavish dependence upon the world of objects for gaining his flashes of joy is truly independent. The sense objects of the world presents to us a false glitter of joy. To resist this call of this flesh, the all-consuming onslaught of our senses, is the privilege and glory of man. The scriptures, like a true compass, always indicate the right direction. See, today, USA is like a huge ship where all consumer goods are available. And India is a madness compass. Swami Vivekananda said in his Chicago, I am proud to hail from the bosom of a nation which has not only taught that all religions are equal, but has convinced that all religions are true and meaningful. Europe, the center of manifestation of material energy, would crumble down to dust within 50 years, and what can save Europe will be the religion of Upanishads. Where there is truth, purity, and unselfishness, no power above or below the sun can crush the possessor thereof. And give me such 100 men and women, I will shake this universe. You all know Mahatma Gandhi, who was called as half-naked fakir. The Churchill, if only he had the brain, if only he wanted, he could have been easily assassinated. It would have been very easy to get rid of Mahatma Gandhi by a bullet. They could have hired a madman, finished him off. Why such an attempt was not made? Who gave the strength to Mahatma Gandhi? Who gave security to Mahatma Gandhi? Not men who were having AK-47. It is that spiritualism. Because such a thought of getting rid of Mahatma Gandhi by violence, even to British, did not occur. When Mahatma Gandhi was called in the court of law, even the judge used to stand in front of him, because there was a dormant spark in that judge also. And it is that faith, the imperceptible faith, which the empirical science cannot make out, on which I am trying to count. Whether you call it as Moses or Mahatma, it is a manifestation of the same spiritual force. It comes down when it is suppressed, it takes another form. So, once we realize that in a land like India, where Ashoka, after Kalinga, he could turn a new book of leaf, why can't Bush or Saddam Hussein? Because it is a spiritual soil that is fertile to give birth. Saints for ages and ages have visited this planet and they have died, and their nourishment of that spirit will come, and only in such a place it can grow. When we are at a crossroads, how to go into the concept of soul search, how to find happiness in our soul, we are baffled. To make these things simple, I give an analogy. The so-called soul, imagine on the tip of a pin, thousands and thousands and millions of small dots. If that one dot is a soul, this soul is knotted to the mind. The mind is the driver of the body. The mind is a slave of the senses. As we are trapped in sensual pleasures, in pursuit of sensual pleasures, whether all our actions are either fight or flight, we are in pursuit of pleasure or running away from pain. So if we learn in that hot chase, we pick up anxiety, tension. So if we learn to unknot the mind from the senses, then the soul will be also slowly able to come out of the pressure of mind. And physical contacts you can slowly detach. And then concentrating on those mantra, on the sound, you slowly untie your senses. Then the mind gets loosened from the soul. And then you will be able to concentrate on this point. And this is in short. Because of constraint of time, I do not want to go deeper into this. And I have got an exercise. Please. Yes, please read. We are traveling in a plane. Suddenly the captain announced the plane will now crash at any time. There are only 7 parachutes available in the kit. Decide whom will you save in order of priority and why. Okay? Normally when I hold this workshop, they are divided into small groups. But now I do not want to disturb the gathering. We will be asking their opinions. Now, come on. Now first is an old man of age 75, a widow mother of 3 children. The person whom you think you are ticking, you can immediately note on your pad whom you want to save. But remember, only 7, you are also not included in that. You are all here only, not in the plane. A famous Indian cricket player with 1 leg, I am not giving any name. 4th, a spiritual guru famous for his discourses. It can be of any religion. 5th, a prostitute who has stopped being so 3 years back and who is now having grave financial problems. 6th one, a leader of political party who has always been a controversial and known for taking tough decisions. Next one, an atheist who is a multi-millionaire. An atheist who is a multi-millionaire. 8, a young Muslim college student. 9, a young beautiful lady of 20 years. 10, a pregnant woman with lunacy history. 11, an IAS officer noted for his courage and conviction. 12, a medical doctor, an MD. 13, a scientist of space research. 14, a professor of economics. 15, a Hindu priest. Now I give a pause for 3 seconds. All of you apply your mind. Who are the 7 persons whom you would like to save? And what is the reason for selecting them in priority and in preference to the balance? How to stimulate your thinking. There is nothing like a right answer, please. The idea is, when you are facing a crisis, and we are all here for a spiritual transformation, where we are sober, that is why you are not in the plane. You are exercising your values, and when you are selecting the lives to be saved, why you select that particular person, that you should be able to give. And I would request, as far as possible, many youngsters also to come forward and air your opinions. Okay. Now the first one, generally everybody would like to save a doctor, MD. Okay? Okay. Doctor, I think, okay. Is there any person who would not prefer an MD, doctor, in this present situation? If at all so, I would like him or her to give a reason. Okay. Number 2, when a situation comes like this, I'm trying to cut short time. It is a grave situation, you require an able administrator. A person like Mr. Karthikeyan or Sheshan, an IAS officer. So number 2, an IAS officer, okay? Then number 3, now what do you think about an old man, 75 years? Yes. No, to be saved, I said. Huh?
Doctor.
No. Say, an old man is not getting sufficient vote, I think. Okay, correct. No, I understood. Everywhere it happens. He is in the liability list. Perhaps playing his mandatory overs. Okay. Now, then, how about an atheist who is a multi-millionaire? Nobody wants an atheist.
There have been some hands in the back.
Anybody? Now here I have deliberately made him an atheist as a multi-millionaire. Yes. Yes, come on.
Because you have taken a load from me.
No. See, as long as there is a fear of death, an uncertainty of death, there is certainty that you will die, but you do not know when, in which form it will happen. There is every possibility that a man may go in search of God or religion. This situation, if I were to be said, I can make you give an opportunity provided you are a millionaire, your fund should be used for the good cause. So it is how we learn to make investment of each opportunity in an adverse situation. Now, next is, how about the young Muslim college student? No. A dangerous person? Okay. Young, beautiful lady of 20 years. No, I said, a young, beautiful lady does not mean she need not have brain. All that was visible. So, see, perhaps a good administrator may need a good PRO also. And not only that, we need youth to take shoulder the responsibility. And what about the scientists? Scientists also. Now, have you come to 7? See, why not that woman who is historical, who was a widow, who has a widow, who has got mother of 3 children. Yes, that is it. Now, the political leader nobody wants, I think. Yes. Yes. A Hindu priest. Now, see, what I am saying, our 7 tickets are over. We would wish to save each and every one. The idea of this exercise is the purpose of this exercise is we all wish to accommodate and save each and every one. But we are often faced with such situation where we have to take tough decisions in a crisis, just like in an emergency hospital, where there is a few years back, 20, 30 years back, in Matunga, there was a big railway accident. And we will have to accommodate people. When you have to save lives, you have to take a decision within the 2 seconds. You do not know whose life you will be able to save. In fact, when we were doing hospital management in emergency ward for a month, I was working in San Hospital. Just because somebody is crying too much, it does not mean that you will have to show sympathy to him. You have to take a decision, judgment. Out of this existing number of bodies, beds we have, resources that we have, which is the life which you can possibly save? You may have to say no to some life. So that is why, in a situation like this, if you are sober enough, you cannot dwell on sentiments. You have to value other sentiments. And if we accept that, then I think we will be able to solve most of our problems. So, with this, the last on vegetarianism, I try to summarize now. That is, if this 2 days workshop has kindled the spark, you are a little more spiritualistic, that let us practice, if somebody is not doing, to be a die-hard vegetarian. And this poem by George Bernard Shaw, we are all living graves of murdered beasts, slaughtered to satisfy our appetite. We never pause to wonder at our feast if animals like men can possibly have rights, if they were to have like human rights, animal rights. We pray on Sundays that we may have light to guide our footsteps on the path we tread. We are sick of war. We do not want to fight. The thought of it now fills our hearts with dread. Can you please, gentlemen? Ah, yes. Like carrion crows, we live and feed on meat, regardless of the suffering and pain we cause by doing so. If thus we treat defenseless animals for sport of gain, how can we hope in this world to attain the peace we say we are so anxious for? We pray for it over hectombs on slain to God while outraging the moral law. Thus cruelty begets its offspring, war. So if we all practice compassion, and that will flow, we can start with in our own kitchen, in our own families, in our own neighbors, and with that, we come to the end, the last prayer. So this we can, no, before that there is one prayer. Okay, I think afterwards. Okay, let it be. I shall, no, with this, that is, that all our blessings are borrowed blessings. The blessings, whether it is health, knowledge or wealth, God-given blessings, it can vanish at no time. So, under such a situation, I pray to Thee most humbly, O Almighty God, to shower Thine kind blessings on me and all members of my family, the family of Brahma Kumaris, so that we lead a life worthy of Thine glory. I seek Thine guidance, as also that of other Holy Spirits, to enable us to perform our right duties. May Your grace permeate our thoughts, speech, actions, conduct, and disposition. O Master, let purity be the hallmark of our life. Give us strength to earn merits through benevolence. Pardon us for all our past evil thoughts, utterances, and deeds. I pray to Thee to dispel covetousness from our minds, so that we do not hate others or envy their riches and prosperity, which they might be enjoying due to their past merit. May we tread the path of righteousness. O God, may our household be filled with peace and happiness. May humility triumph over conceit and egotism. May gratitude be not paid by ingratitude. This prayer I make at Thine sacred feet, my Lord, as a provision for a more purposeful life. Om Shanti.
When I notice this world, when I look around this world, I notice three categories of people. One is, they maybe belong to affiliation or connected with science, spirituality, etc. But three categories. One is bad, mad, and sad. Why I say this, bad, mad, and sad? As a result of this bad, and sad, there is suffering is increasing, fear is increasing, miseries are increasing, so on, so. Why people? The very purpose of life is to make self-empowerment, the society very joyful, peaceful, blissful, knowledgeful. Though this is our aim, the aim of science, the aim of spirituality, aim of religion, aim of every branch of knowledge is that still we are suffering mentally, physically, socially, economically, politically, all kinds of crises are going on. So what is the solution? Solution is only now. The man cannot find the solution himself. Now man has to seek a solution from the divine. The very purpose of our life is first, this purpose of organizing this seminar is first spiritualization, divinization, and humanization. As my brother already said, nuclearization, globalization, and commercialization, so many other. I think the very purpose is to divinize. The divinization purpose is only we have to clean and clear our consciousness. Be good and do good. Be simple, be sample. Be peaceful, be loveful. Be blissful and be knowledgeful. This is the message of this institution. I only wish all my brothers and sisters should enjoy the spiritual wisdom bestowed by the Divine Father. As my previous brother said, God is in search of man. He is not only searching the man, he is now acting as a guide to the humanity. He is acting as a spiritual guru to the humanity. He is acting as a chariot to the humanity. As Lord Krishna acted, now he is acting in this world, or particularly in this hour of world crisis of values. So that is why Baba is acting. Baba, in the sense that spiritual father, is acting as a guide and as a philosopher, as a friend, as a mother, as a father, and as a guru. So we must seek his help or his guidance or his wisdom, so that once again we can make our life peaceful and holy, and thereby we can attain, we can climb our status like a deity being. Not dirty being, a deity being, a worship-worthy being. So that is possible through spiritual understanding, and may the Supreme Father bestow you all a powerful, peaceful, blissful life. Enjoy this life. Om Shanti. Namaste. I take leave and express my sincere thanks to Brother Ramesh Bhai, Usha Ben, and all other sisters and brothers for having organized this beautiful seminar. And as my brother Karthikeyan already put it to you, that we may organize a better seminar, better in the sense bigger seminar in Mount Abu or some other part of India, and I extend a hearty invitation to all of you to join that seminar also, or you visit our Brahma Kumaris headquarters, Mount Abu, to enjoy the spiritual atmosphere charged by with love, compassion, and spiritual wisdom. Om Shanti, Namaste.
Effect of meditation on terrorists and criminals. And someone said I should answer. I just see Brahmakumari, this Raj Yoga meditation has been taught in many prisons, as you may be knowing, and the results have been very good. People have changed a lot, and many other type of meditation also. Generally, meditation, yoga, spiritual practices have helped people to come to the straight path of life. See, nobody is a born criminal. To a large extent, the society is responsible. Sometimes, the family circumstances, poverty, injustice, it is going to be a big problem for us. Injustice. People, a section of people feeling that injustice is being committed to them, caused to them, they nurse a grievance. And it is the duty of the majority. I'm saying this because recently we had an international seminar at Oslo, Norway, on root cause of terrorism. I was asked to speak on Sri Lanka. So when I said the root cause of terrorism is injustice, sense of injustice, maybe genuine, maybe imaginary, perceived sense of injustice. If it is real, it is the duty of the majority to realize the injustice caused to the minority and correct themselves. If you think the minority is unnecessarily making unreasonable demands, again it is the duty of the majority to tell them, no, sorry, you know injustice is caused to you, you are imagining things. In spite of that, they indulge in violence, killing of people, disturb property, you have to put it down ruthlessly by violence again. You have no choice. But you must always go back to the root cause, like firefighting. The house is on fire, the first thing is you put out the fire. But we don't go home, we look into what caused the fire, why it happened, otherwise it will keep coming up again and again. So like that, so society is responsible for many of the people becoming criminals and terrorists, I want to tell you that. So if there is a justice and fairness in the society, and if the people at higher levels follow the path of ethics and morality and justice, this terrorism and criminality will disappear to a large extent. Certainly, it has been proved all over, not only here, even in Western countries, our yoga, our meditation methods, spiritual practices have helped the criminals to realize what they have done is wrong. I have seen people crying, telling, yes, we are, and they, after the practice, they say, it's a good thing we came to the jail because otherwise we would not have known this. Many people, drug addicts, all have transformed. But that alone is not enough today. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. They are good, like us, Circumstances, very often, mostly circumstances make people criminals. No guidance, no person to take care of them. And that is the reason why society should be fair and just to everybody. Suppose a person suffers injustice and discrimination again and again, he will be pushed to the corner. That's why the need for ethical values. Spirituality means what? Again, is only being right, doing the right things, saying the right things, being just and fair to everybody. It has value, it is proved to be effective. That's all. Thank you.
The name is Rupa from South Africa, and I've been in this knowledge for 18 years, and for the past 3 years I've been attending the Spark meetings that that had been held in Mount Abu, and I had come again this time especially for this meeting, and I also got invited for this special dialogue, and I'm very, very happy to actually have attended this dialogue. I would just like to share one or two things which, while the speakers were sharing, there's one thought that came to mind, is that of misuse and abuse of science and spirituality, and that of religion. Normally there's a saying that I'm sure you have had heard, that when you live by a knife, you die with a knife. When you live with a gun, you die with a gun. So why not each one of us have the life that we normally would have had, our original state of being, that of peace, love, happiness, wisdom, power within ourselves. If we keep that with ourselves and within ourselves, so we can die from this world of viciousness, die from this world of vices, and thereby live a life of spirituality. And when I look at each one of you, it's like this, where we have to live a life of spirituality. At the end of the day, what is spirituality? It's the reality of who I am, the spirit that's within this body, seated in the center of the forehead. And when I look at myself in that way, when I see myself as the spirit, I can actually work with that and be with that and live with that constantly. So the reality of who I am is what I need to be. And with those words, I'd like to say thank you to all the speakers here on stage, and for sharing widely and with great wisdom their thoughts, the school of thoughts. And special thank you to Mr. Karthikeyan, I didn't pronounce the word well, and Mr. Iyer and Brother Matanjay for their valuable thoughts on this subject. And I'd like to say thank you to each one of you to have had come over here to be with us and to listen widely and openly and be and having had a broad mind to these moments of speech. Many thanks again to everyone.